Hey kids, hey lambs, welcome back to another edition of the Hey Lamb podcast. I'm your host Matt, aka Treacle. Thank you to everyone who's getting involved on Instagram. If you're not following the Hey Lamb podcast over on Instagram, get involved. It is at Hey Lamb podcast. And a reminder, we are looking for some wonderful reviews on Apple Podcasts, preferably 5 stars. So it only takes a couple of seconds to hop on and do that. Really, really appreciate if you can do that. And today I am very, very excited to bring yet another guest. This is so much fun for me because I get to chat to people all around the world. And today, joining us from Florida, we have Omer. Hey, Omer.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you. Everything is great here.
Is it sunny over there in Florida?
Oh, yes. Very hot here.
So sunshine every day. Well, we've been chatting quite a lot recently, but and comparing weather. But actually, I can match you today. I won't match you in temperature, but we actually have sunshine here in England at long bloody last. It's been a wait.
Oh, wow. That's great for a change.
Yeah, so today I'm not jealous, but it can get a little bit too hot your side, but at least I've got some sunshine. Omer, welcome to the podcast, and for those that are on my YouTube channel, welcome to the YouTube channel. So it's the podcast and the channel at the same time. We've been chatting for a little while, and I want to get to that, but first of all, please just tell everyone a little bit about yourself. So you're in Florida. What else can you tell everyone?
Well, I'm originally from Israel, born and raised. I moved to Florida about 11 years ago. I'm a huge Mariah Carey fan since 1993. And that's it. What else do you want to know?
Well, I want to get into favorite albums and songs and moments and kind of like deep dive. But first of all, let's just kind of remind ourselves, but also share this fun story that you and I actually met several years ago. We met backstage at Wembley for Mariah's London Charm Bracelet concert. So that was, I think it was the end of October 2003.
October 30th, 2003.
There you go. Perfect. So I have a faint memory of you and I want to ask what you remember, but let's put it into context. So I was lucky enough to go backstage at that London concert. You were lucky enough to go backstage, and I remember the people that I was backstage with, but I don't remember everyone else in the group. I remember there being a group photo moment and having that photo emailed to me by Mariah's team, and then losing that email account, or my hard drive it was on, I don't know, but I lost the photo, didn't have it. It appeared on a Honeybee Fly newsletter, like a tiny, like low quality version. And that's all I had of that photo for the longest time. And then recently, a few months back, somebody tagged me or DM'd me on Twitter and said, "Is this you?" And it's a very young baby me in this photo. And I went, "Yeah, that's me. Well spotted," because I don't look quite the same. And I said, "Where on earth did you get this photo?" And they said, "Oh, this guy Omer. You should totally ask him." So then I reached out to you, said hey, and like you had to tell me like which one you were in the photo. And I was like, oh my God. And then I'm now actually looking at other people, because of course I'm looking at myself and Mariah, but then I'm looking around like, oh, I totally remember you. So we've reconnected through Instagram. And you have been so kind to get a reprint. You took your original photo, because you had a print of that photo, and you had it copied, and the quality was amazing. You were so kind to send it over to me here in UK. So thank you once again for doing that, because that's a photo I've not had in all these years. And now we get to reconnect and get to know each other more, and it's just amazing. So the power of the internet. Tell us about your experience in London. Like, how did you end up there? What do you remember of that backstage moment? Because we've talked a little bit, but I think you remember more of who was backstage and what was going on. What do you remember?
Well, obviously, when I decided to go see the show in Europe, it was like clear to me that I was going to go see the London show, because I was a big fan of, still am a big fan of London and the UK. And being in Israel will be just a clear choice to me to fly there to see the show, because obviously Mariah wasn't coming to Israel to perform. I flew to London for a few days, and it was very nice. I always have a good time in London. And when I went to the show, I was nervous as hell because I had the meet and greet backstage. That was before they used to charge for meets and greets. You just got to be very, very lucky to get that fan club and say that you're privileged enough to meet Mariah backstage. And I was very, very excited. And throughout the whole concert, even though I didn't have the best seats, but I think that I overcompensated that in later concerts. I didn't have the great seats, but it was just amazing. It was actually my first time seeing her live. I've never seen her live before. Going backstage and waiting and waiting and waiting. I remember that we waited for like an hour, if I'm not mistaken, for her to just come out. And I remember, what I remember is that, first of all, I remember that I saw Eternal there. I was freaking out because I'm a huge Eternal fan.
Yes.
For those who know who Eternal was, I was like, I even went to ask Esther Bennett if she would take a picture with me, and she said yes. I was like, oh my god, I was like ecstatic. And then we led into that room where the picture was gonna be taken, and then I remember that you were holding that book that she ultimately was holding in the picture, right? I remember you were holding the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I remember that. I remember they didn't have enough people for the meet and greet photo because they wanted to be like a full fan meet and greet photo. So they had to drag a few people from like, I don't know where, just come into the frame, get in the frame. And then and then she came out. We just stood there already set, ready to, for the picture. And she came out and, she stood in the middle right next to me. And I was like rubbing shoulders with her. And then like they took the picture, and then I remember that you went and gave her the book, and then I was at loss for words. I couldn't barely speak, but I was trying to get her to sign my program, and she said to me when she saw I was like holding the program, handing it to her like this, and I was like stuttering. I couldn't even speak, and then she looks at I think it was her bodyguard or something. She said, "I think he wants me to sign this." And then the bodyguard totally freaked out. He pushed me out the door, and off I went.
Oh.
While everybody was like still inside talking to her, I was being literally kicked out.
Because you wanted something signed and that was a no-no?
Yeah, because they said in advance, no photography, don't ask her to sign anything. I kind of broke that rule.
Well, you kind of broke. Well, you didn't actually ask her because you couldn't get the words out.
No, but that's what the bodyguard understood, and for him was a no, and it was like out.
Wow. Okay, there's two things. Like, number one, I don't remember what happened after you left. All I remember is I gave her the book. So the book was a fan book. So all around the world, fans were making the fan books, and we were calling them fan bracelets, I think. So yeah, so she got a fan book, and I was involved with the UK ones. I had my website at the time, mariahcareyuk.com. So we had them for the dates in the UK, and I went backstage at the Wembley one. So that's the book I was giving her was the fan book. So I remember having to speak to her because I'd been around her like outside hotels and things, and I was like barely 20 years old and really, really shy. First time I met her I was 17. I'd had those like stuttering, can't get your words out moments, but in that moment I was like, I have to speak to her. I have to formulate a sentence and give the book to her. So I pushed myself to articulate. So I remember doing that, and I can't tell you anything we spoke about, anything that was said, anything that happened. I don't remember you leaving the room. I barely remember us having the photo taken. I have just such like a snapshot memory. I do remember Eternal being backstage because always have been and always will be a big Eternal fan. You had a photo. You told me you're going to dig the photo out. Did you dig out that photo?
It's somewhere. I will find it. I have it. When I find it, I'm going to send it to you.
And the other thing that I forget from backstage is what you just described. They had to like rustle up extra people to be in the photo because you were telling me this on Insta or WhatsApp or whatever a few weeks ago. And I was like, really? And you're like, yeah, you don't remember? And I'm like, no, I was there with the few people that I knew. I remember you being there. Like, as soon as I saw you in the photo, like, oh, yeah, I remember you there. And you pointed out these other people. I'm like, I don't remember them. You're like, yeah, because they weren't really part of the group. They threw them in for the photo. That is so weird.
What happened is that when they lined us up for the photo, the photographer looked at it and said, there's not enough people. It looks funny. And they had to add a few more fans for the photo. So they dragged those, I think the couple that were on the left of the photo, like they were like, just getting there. They weren't all Mariah fans, put it that way. Lambs, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's strange because when you look at all the photos from backstage across the tour, some of the groups are more intimate and some of them are quite big. And I remember seeing photos go up online from previous shows to try and get a sense of like, oh, I wonder how big the crowd is going to be when I get to go backstage in London. How many people are going to be there? How might the photo look? So I remember like, oh, it varies quite a bit, but none of them were massive. But our one, I do remember it felt like a really, really small group. And even after they added that random couple, which yeah, on your side of the photo, it was still a pretty small group. It wasn't a lot of us.
Yeah, no, it was. Listen, for London, I thought it would be packed, but
Yeah, I think there was. I mean, we'd have to get into all of it. I mean, there's different ways to get backstage passes, and a lot of it in entertainment and is like who you know. I've always like been transparent with some of the ways in which I got little perks and things along the way because I had the website and that caught Mariah's attention and management's attention. I spoke to them a few times and things and whatever, and I remember that that was my moment going backstage, is like almost like a pat on the back with the website and everything that we were doing. We were doing fan events, we were doing so much, having a great time doing it. But you have also met Mariah at other moments, and you've seen her live subsequently. So what are some of those fond memories or highlights? What other stories have you got? So that's when we first met many moons ago, and it's been so much fun to reconnect. But remind me and share with everyone some of your other times. I know Vegas is up there.
after seeing her in 2003, I haven't seen her for like 6 years. I didn't go see the Adventures of Mimi tour in America, even though I could have, but I just, it didn't work with my job back then. Just couldn't have the liberty to just fly jet off to America to go see concerts. In 2009, right when Memoirs came out, she was doing like I think it was a 4 or 8 concert series in Vegas at the Pearl.
Yes.
You remember that? It was like, I think she was doing like 4 in, she did like 4 in September and 4 in October of 2009. And I decided to, I want to see her. It's been long enough. I hopped on a plane, went to Vegas, and I went to see her. I saw 2 shows in October 9, October 10th, I believe, 2009. At the Pearl. It was very, very nice. And I actually had second row seats for those concerts.
Nice. And is it my understanding they were very intimate shows, right? Like just a couple of thousand people or something?
Yeah, it was like I don't want to say Beacon Theater, but it's a little bigger than that. But yeah, I was second row. It was like a nice setting. It was like mostly the songs from Memoirs. Yeah, it was a nice concert.
Okay, so 2009 Memoirs. When was next after that?
After that, I saw her Angels Advocate tour here in Fort Lauderdale. That's when I already moved here.
Mm-hmm.
So she came here to perform here in Fort Lauderdale, and I went. It was at the Hard Rock Hotel. It was a nice concert. It was very similar to the Pearl concerts. It was very similar. After that, I saw her when she started doing the Vegas shows. Not the Vegas shows, the Christmas shows. Flew to New York to Beacon Theater, and I saw like maybe 3 shows that week.
Wow.
And then I went the next year. She did the second annual Christmas show, and I saw that also 3 times.
Living the dream.
Yes. It's easier when you live in America. It's just easier.
I know, I'm jealous. I've seen the Christmas show only once because it kind of it didn't happen for me. Of course, she didn't bring it over to Europe straight away. You guys had it in North America for a while, and then when it was in, then there was an overlap. I was working in North America, but I wasn't in the right place, and I was actually in, I think, Montreal, and then all my friends back here went to see it at the O2 in London without me, and I was like, I'm never going to see this Christmas show. And I have seen it once in London, but I would personally love to see it at the Beacon Theatre because I feel like that's like the heart of it, and I would just love to see Mariah at the Beacon Theatre. At the O2 in London, it's great, but it's a different experience. It's just such a big arena. So you've seen the Christmas show how many times?
Too many times.
No, there's no such thing, Omer. Don't tell me there's too many times seeing Mariah's Christmas show.
One of the Christmas shows that I saw, I was actually front row center.
Oh, wow.
Out of body experience. Like, I have videos that literally you can see her legs through the dress. Is so like, you're so close.
What a weird detail to pull out.
No, usually you see her like the big gowns and everything, but when you see her and you film so close, you see literally her legs moving when she's dancing, like somewhat dancing on the stage. It's so funny. You're so close to see every detail. So it's like, I'm like, wow, I'm that close. So after that, she did the Vegas shows. I saw 2 or 3 Vegas shows literally on the opening weekend. It started
Cool.
in 2015. I went there, and then she announced that she's coming to Israel to perform for the first time. It was a one-time concert. So I literally flew to Israel to see her in my home country, which I thought would be like a great significance to me. I went to see her. She actually performed in my hometown, which is funny.
Oh, amazing. Who did you go with for
Yeah,
that one?
I went with a friend of mine. She likes Mariah also, and we were like literally, and that was like, there was no seats. You have to stand the whole time. One of the like, you have to run to the barriers and just get squashed to death
Yeah.
in the August heat of Israel. Is like
Ooh.
not pleasant. Yeah, but it was a nice concert. And she spoke Hebrew, and I took
Wow.
video and everything. Yeah, it was a very it was one of the most unique concerts of hers that I've seen.
Oh yeah, I bet. I didn't know that, or if you did tell me previously, I forgot, and I'm sorry. But yeah, that's amazing. That must have been really, really special because you can't bank on that happening. I mean, maybe, hopefully, I hope for you that, again that could happen, but
I doubt it.
you know, you got to grab that opportunity. So let's well, not flash forward. Let's go back to Vegas. I've seen at least one, two, three. How many photos of you and Mariah have I seen in Vegas? There's some really gorgeous photos of you because the Vegas photos, they're done well. They're more recent. The technology with cameras and everything, and they've got the cute backdrop, and she's there in because she's still in like the gowns. Because I remember like back in the day, like Wembley after Charm Bracelet, she changes into a cute outfit, and it's all like she's still got all ultra glam, but she's not in the stage outfits. Whereas the Vegas ones, there's lambs that are getting dressed up, and Mariah's in the gowns, and there's some really, really nice photos, and you've got some really, really nice photos with her. So talk to me about Vegas and what you think of the shows, and did you actually get to speak to Mariah and get your words out this time?
First of all, I thought the Number One to Infinity show was great, which I think was something that tourists that go to Vegas, not necessarily fans, people would enjoy listening to the number ones, the hits. It would have been nice if she added on top of those back then 18 number ones, she would have added a couple more hits that people know that weren't necessarily number ones, but she didn't. She did Infinity, which people didn't really get.
That is an interesting point because I did have the same kind of sentiments, but I did love the purity and just how clean it was as a set list. Is like to stand there and go through 18 number ones. Like there's no one else in the world that can do that. So I was like, do it. Although I'm going to miss other songs, do it because no one else can do that. And when I saw Number One to Infinity, just the one time, JD was in town, so she wore the black outfit and they did It's Like That. And I was actually quite looking forward to Infinity. So I was a little bit like, oh, I know I'm going to get it. Oh, no, I'm not going to get it. So I was a little disappointed, but then it was amazing to finish on a party track because Infinity I felt was a bit of a weird closer. But It's Like That. It's like, and then you walk out and you're in a casino. That actually felt quite fitting. I thought.
Right. I mean, that's something that they changed when Number One to Infinity came back for like, I think it was the second or third leg of the tour of the residency. They realized that Infinity wasn't working, and they changed it to It's Like That, which was a good decision. Once again, it would have been nice if they had a couple other songs that weren't necessarily number ones that the people know.
Like what? What would you maybe have put into Number One to Infinity?
I don't know, maybe Endless Love. That was a big hit. Without You was a big hit internationally. People that come to Vegas are not necessarily Americans. They're like, that's Without You is Mariah's one of the most recognizable Mariah songs. And people, just because in America it wasn't as grand as other hits were, doesn't mean it's not, people don't, stimulate Mariah with that song, because they do. So it would have been nice if she did Without You. I know she hates the song, so she doesn't want to sing it.
Yeah, it's a good point that not everyone in Vegas is American. It's a great tourist, destination spot. So yeah,
Right.
lots of international people. I do feel I don't know. I can't point to any like quote or anything where she kind of like says how she feels about Without You, but I just kind of get that impression that she feels a certain type of way about it, and I do feel like it's maybe she feels it's like an obligation that she has to do it. When she comes to England, we get Without You, and that's really really great for like the friend you take along or the mother you take along. Me as a British lamb, I don't need Without You. I don't need it. I don't need it from, the Music Box era. So I feel bad for her if she feels like she has to do it. But in a way, maybe she kind of does, because some of the people coming along to the concerts, they really do associate with her, yes, her with that song. So,
They want a lot of people when they buy a ticket to her concert, especially in Europe, they're coming to hear that song. So even though you're a lamb and you know all her songs and you're okay with like her singing 20 other songs, it's okay. Some people come there just for that one song. When she performed in Israel, she had to do it. It's her biggest hit in Israel. They twisted her arm and told her that you have to do the song.
wow.
And she
It is interesting that she is still so heavily, somewhat chained to songs and moments from so early on in her career. And that's something that we're going to explore when we come back from a break. We're going to chat about some early era moments because we've had some interesting conversations privately, you and I. And now we're going to bring them to the pod and the podcast and share them with everyone. So we'll be right back after a very quick break. Hey kids, don't forget I've got a special live edition of Lamb vs. Lamb, my Mariah Carey quiz series, coming to my YouTube channel Saturday, June 26th. In the previous Lamb vs. Lamb videos on my YouTube channel, I've gone head to head with my good lamb friend Nath, and now it is your turn. Join us for a live stream Saturday, June 26th, 7 p.m. in the UK. That's 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And I'm going to be inviting other lambs to come onto the channel and play against Nath. I have got several of my YouTube channel members lined up. This is going to be so much fun. Put the date in your diary and join us live on my YouTube channel for Lamb vs. Lamb live Saturday, June 26th. And we are back. So, Omer, one thing that I want to bring to the podcast and chat with you about is the early eras, because, I mean, you and I talk quite a lot and we speak about many different things, but one thing that was quite interesting, like I said, let's bring it forward to the podcast, is the early eras and just how fast the albums came out and how quickly, we get an album, and maybe the eras were kind of stepping on the toes of each other, and and I think you expressed to me that perhaps if the eras were I don't put words in your mouth, I want you to tell me, but like if they were more spaced out or they could have been longer, we could have had different things. Like, was it more singles, more tours? Remind me of this conversation we were having, because you had some really interesting ideas.
Right, right. What I was saying is that back in the day, like in the early 90s, promotion of albums were not, they were not being done for like 6 months, 8 months. Like if you look at albums like Michael Jackson's albums, Janet Jackson's albums, back then albums that were successful were being promoted for like 2 years before a new project would even come out. And it's just, I think that it's a shame that albums like Emotions and Music Box got chopped in the middle of their promotion, especially Music Box. Emotions, for me, Emotions could have had a couple great singles come out after Make It Happen, but because of Unplugged, that kind of like cut the promotion short.
Isn't there I feel like it's a fable or a story, maybe it's true, but wasn't Can't Let Go, because Can't Let Go got to number 2 over in America, right? So it's like, I really wish that song had gone to number 1. Is it is it true, do you know, that it was pulled off of the shelves? Everyone's like, oh, Tommy killed Can't Let Go. He pulled it off the shelves because he wanted the album sales to increase rather than focus on a single. Is this correct? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't think about that. But I think it sounds a little bogus because everybody wants their artists to have number 1 singles. It says a lot about an artist's success, and nobody would pull it out of the stores for them not to have a number 1 record. I think it's a shame that song wasn't up, because that's actually one of my favorite Mariah songs ever.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, Can I Go? The production is it's amazing. It's one of my favorite songs, and I wish that song would have been number one, even compared to other number one songs that did make it. So it's a shame. I think it's a shame. But I know that any I think and you don't remember was supposed to be released as a single.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that got canceled because of "I'll Be There," because when she did Unplugged, people the radio started playing "I'll Be There." They would take the track from the Unplugged and they would make their own audio track and they would play it on the radio. And that's what happened. That's when Sony, saw that, oh my God, they're playing this record all the time. Let's just release it as a single. So they released it as a single and then it became the number one hit that it was. Then they released the EP. And the EP went to sell, I think, like 6 million copies. So
So the success of Unplugged is what brought about the end of the Emotions era.
Motion,
Maybe Unplugged then was originally intended to support the first two albums, which
right.
now I say it out loud, that seems really, really obvious because it is an EP, it's not an album. But then I don't think I knew that And You Don't Remember was slated to be like it was lined up to be a single.
Yeah, yes, it was supposed to be released as a single. Um, I can also tell you that the MTV Unplugged, the Unplugged EP, that was not even planned. They weren't even gonna do it, but they only did it because they wanted to shut the critics up. She was getting backlash after 2 albums with no tour, and they thought she was just a puppet of singing in the studio, and people did the engineering, and auto tuning, whatever you want to call it.
Trickery and
Yeah,
yeah.
even though she did some live segments like in TV shows and stuff, that still wasn't enough. They wanted to see that she could carry a whole concert. So I think Unplugged was a way for them to shut the critics up, and it worked. But it's a shame because I think that even though even though I loved the Emotions album, it wasn't as good as the first album, to my opinion. In my opinion, I don't know how much a couple more singles would have helped the album, but that's not how I feel about the Music Box album. I
Okay.
think the
Okay.
Music Box album got cut in its total peak, which was a real shame, I think, because that album selling at the time 20 million copies. Now we're talking about 30 something million, but back then it was like 20 million copies, worldwide success. The album was being sold like hotcakes, and Without You was a massive success. After that, Anytime I Need a Friend came out. Even though Anytime I Need a Friend wasn't really a big hit in America, it was like number 12 on Billboard. I do believe that a couple more singles could have been released from that album that could have been number ones, or at least could have helped the album sell a few more millions of copies. But then Endless Love happened, literally 2 months after Anytime I Need a Friend came out. So then they decided to release Endless Love, focus on that. That was like September of 1994. And then November 1994, Merry Christmas came out.
Mm.
So I think that brought the Music Box era to an end, which it could have I think it could have lasted the remainder of 1994 and even like half of 1995 before Daydream would come out in September.
So do you think that maybe Merry Christmas could have been like its own sort of mini era and then Music Box continued afterwards? Is that what you're saying?
Music, Merry Christmas was a mini era. It spanned for like 2 months, literally November
Yeah.
till New Year. That's when she did the promotion for that album. And don't forget, even though Merry Christmas, it was like a 2 month period span. It sold 8 million copies back then. The album, like in literally 2 months, it sold really fast. I think that they could have waited with that till the end of 1995. So once again, that's my opinion. I think Music Box could have been bigger than what it was, even though it was her biggest album internationally. I think it could have gone even bigger.
It's an interesting reminder. You're really helpful for me in my mind with like the timeline because I'm like, yeah, of course. Like it, late '94, we get Endless Love, and that's the moment, and then Merry Christmas is already happening. So maybe they're like, let's just wind up this era, and then she's there with new material, because she's always working, writing, producing, singing. So Yeah, I never really thought about it that way. But you mentioned that there would maybe be scope for a couple more singles from Music Box. I mean, we had Dream Lover, we had Hero, Anytime You Need a Friend was international. We had Without You paired with Never Forget You. It was a B-side over here. Never Forget You was the B-side. What would you have released? What would you pick as additional singles?
I would, if we go for the ballads, like they were very smart at the time. They were like riding on the success of The Bodyguard at the time, where Whitney was getting all these like hits with all her big ballads, and they were trying to like kind of, it's not. I don't think it's accidental that Mariah had Music Box come out after The Bodyguard with an album exploded with power ballads in it. I think it was kind of a calculated move on behalf of Sony. I think if I went for the ballads, I would have gone for Just to Hold You Once Again and All I've Ever Wanted. For me, I think those two could have been really big hits.
I never really thought about. Well, no, I guess I kind of did. I was obsessed with All I've Ever Wanted. Like,
Mm-hmm.
played the heck out of that song. I just love it so much. And it is like too much for some people. People like, oh, Death by Mariah Carey power ballad, and that's the era because that's what she was. I feel like kind of like maybe like made to do, like Emotion. She had more control over the debut, but I think Emotions gets overlooked a little bit because the debut is like such a strong introduction for her, and then
Right.
Emotions. I love that album, but like there are some songs that it's a little bit more like subdued. There are ballads, but they're not like all in your face power ballads, and the artwork doesn't excite me at all. I hate the artwork. I feel like I'd pick different photos, and just have a different moment with it, and then I felt like with Music Box, she was kind of like strong armed into this is what you need. Like you said, this it was a calculated move by Sony. That is her with her Mariah Carey like job hat on. Like I have to be Mariah Carey, wear this hat, write these songs, do these songs, and I feel like that was like a duty. Merry Christmas, she's having fun with it, and that did what it did. And then maybe she's kind of like, okay, I gave you your Music Box, I've done that. Maybe it was a push from her. Like I've done it. I've done that album. I've got new stuff. I've got fantasy. I'm working on that. Maybe it was her more than the label. I don't know.
Yeah, I listen. Up until Daydream, she wasn't really in control. I mean, she was allowed to produce her stuff, but she wasn't really in control of the material that the label wanted to release. If they told her, we want you to release this kind of album, that kind of album, she just had to comply. Only when Daydream came out, and I think it's even in a memoir where she said she finally wanted to collaborate with rappers, blah blah blah, blah and all these kind of like people. She wasn't really allowed to collaborate with people. And then when she did, she was able to collaborate with them, but the collaborations ended up on singles as remixes and not on the album versions because they didn't want her to go urban in the albums. So singles is one thing, and then like one of the remix B side, just not in the people's face, on the in the album versions. But I think that starting from Daydream, she started getting a little more control, and that's because I think she already had her issues with Tommy, and she kind of knew what kind of direction she's going after that album.
Yeah, I think like Daydream is the era where she's resigned herself to her fate. If I stay, this is the deal. And in the back of her mind, she starts formulating her escape plan. Hence the
Mhm.
moments like with Debrat and leaving to go and get French fries and whatever, and then Butterfly, she's on the run. Like she's escaped and she's on the run. And then Rainbow, she's like miles and miles away from him. That's how I kind of have it in my mind. How satisfied do you feel like on reflection looking back at the Daydream era? Is there anything you would maybe like wish or hope for, or was that satisfactory, do you think? Did it do everything it needed?
We talked about album promotions to the fullest, and I think Daydream was promoted to the fullest. She gave that album a full year for the first time. She had literally for the first time she had a full year of promotion for that album, literally September to September, and which was good. Then she took some time off. This is literally the first time in 1996 that she didn't release an album. So that was the first time she had a little more time to stop the promotion for Daydream and then concentrate on working on Butterfly. So I'm happy. I like, in Daydream, I like the looks. I think she looked amazing, in the photos and like in the whole era, the clothes, the hair, everything. The pictures were amazing. I think look wise, that's my favorite era of Mariah
Okay.
out of all eras. I think she looked chic. It's the first time you really see her wear labels. You see her Gucci belt and this. Like she never really beforehand. She was like, she wasn't really wearing like You don't see her wearing fancy stuff, you know. But starting that era, then she started becoming like a real of a fashionista, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's really good point actually. Yeah, like Daydream, you can totally see her starting to flirt with fashion and designers and have fun with it because then you look beyond that, she's continued to do that and there's been some iconic moments and that's like a whole conversation for another day just talking about her fashion and setting trends. I mean, heartbreaker jeans, hello. But yeah, prior to Daydream, I can't say there's like any looks that really wow me. I'm happy to be corrected in the comments, kids. I'm like racking my brain, but Daydream is the first. Yeah, I think it's the first era I can really like say. Yeah, she's starting to flirt with fashion and have fun with it.
Yes, even the American Music Awards performance of Fantasy, if you remember that one. She was wearing the leather. She was wearing the leather jacket, and she had the bangs, if I'm not mistaken. You have to watch that.
Yeah, I need to look that up. It's not running straight back to my mind. I did the only thing I had like I want to say issue with was like those damn trench coats, those leather long coats. And I'm like, she's just swimming in them, and she's got turtleneck up to her chin. So I did feel bad at some of the stuff that she was made to wear.
She had the turtleneck there, and she had the trench coat, the leather coat with the leather pants, and she even commented on that performance. I think in the memoir where she said that this was a Tommy production. She said besides her face, you couldn't really see anything. But I thought it was kind of like a fashion moment for her, that with the leather and like she was wearing like nice labels. So yeah, I think that was like the beginning of her being more playing with fashion, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe even if she didn't have freedom of choice on stage with what she's wearing on these performances, certainly if we were to pull up, red carpet moments and awards ceremony moments, I think we're seeing more of a playful side. But maybe it's like a wrestle because on stage, yeah, you've got to wear a turtleneck, you've got to wear a trench coat. So then maybe that's why she's fighting more for like a Gucci belt on a red carpet or something. She can have more fun.
Do you get what the label was trying to do when they had her wear those kind of clothes or whatever? They were trying to, as far as I interpret it, I think that they were trying to make her the next Barbara Streisand. They wanted to make her classy. They want to make her, the girl with the golden voice. And, when she wanted to take her clothes off or show a little more skin, the label was like, no, 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 don't do that. In the end, she broke that image with Honey. That's not what the label wanted. But I can understand how the label saw her and what they wanted her to be. Because even though Mariah got her freedom and she did whatever she wanted, when Butterfly came out, she lost a lot of fans. Maybe not the hardcore lambs, but she lost a lot of fans. People did not like the fact that she was taking her clothes off. Say what you want about it, but those like the numbers speak for themselves with the album sales of Butterfly. But I guess what's important is that she was happy and that's what she wanted to do.
Yeah, because at that point she's carrying this weight and this responsibility of being Mariah Carey, and I agree they're trying to set her up to be this next, like Barbara, like whoever, whatever, and they want it to be about the voice, literally just stand there, face, voice, sing. They want her to be classic and ageless and timeless, but like you're dressing a 23, 24-year-old up as something that she's not, and someone you know, that she's not, you're trying to make her into something else, and then it's not. It must be so stifling for her. She can't be free, she can't be herself. So then it's like with a teenager, right? If you tell them they can't do something, they want to do the opposite, and they're going to go in hard. The more you say no, the more you want to do it. And that's the same with everybody, you know. I've done that plenty of times. You say no or don't do it or can't do it. Then you were like, well, watch me. So she really did it with Honey. And yeah, I don't know the numbers, but I totally appreciate that she lost some of her following because they had subscribed to the product. And was it like the franchise? They're referring to it as the franchise. People were subscribing and buying the albums and investing because they know what they're going to get. They want to get the follow-up to Hero. They want to get the next One Sweet Day. And then
Right.
Butterfly comes along and she has jumped lanes, but then she's having to say, well, I haven't really. You're just hearing what I've always been trying to do. And I've been doing this music, but like you said earlier, it's been the remix or it's been the B-side. Now it's more at the forefront. So it's always been there. And this is actually me. What you had before was the lane they kind of put me in. And this is actually my lane. But yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I remember people that I've met and they're like, oh yeah, I loved her before Butterfly. I love her early stuff. I love her early few albums. And I'm like, you need to get on board with Butterfly. You really need to. That is her as an artist. And then afterwards, I mean, yeah, varying amount of controls in different situations as she's progressed through. But Butterfly is the first time it's actually a Mariah album. The other albums before, quite largely in places, are albums that she is being told or directed to do. We need this song, we need that song. So that must be quite I don't know if it's frustrating for her at that time. I mean, it's, you know, many years ago now, but I wonder how she felt about it at the time. Like whether she felt that, you know, like she gets to be authentically herself and kind of shed that coat, shed that trench coat, drop it, and, you know, get in the bathing suit and jump in the pool. She's having so much fun. I wonder if she felt any kind of reaction from people.
At that point, I don't think she cared about. I think she knew she was going to lose some of her following, which is understandable. But that's just the way it is in the music business. I do appreciate that even though she changed musical direction to more urban kind of music, she still, at least, I mean, she even said in the Butterfly interviews that she remained true to the ballads. She still said people who's buying my records for the ballads will still get those big ballads.
Yeah.
So that the up-tempo songs were more urban. But she said the people who want my ballads, that's what they love me for, they'll get it.
The ballads on Butterfly are just so like top of the list of like best Mariah ballads because, you know, Butterfly, My All, Whenever You Call. And interestingly, I've been reminded recently of something that I heard a few years ago, and it was surprising to me that Butterfly as a record originally started out as like a house track, and
Correct.
Fly Away was where she was going with it, and then she was having those lyrics like spread your wings, prepare to fly. I think there's a ballad in this. And then Butterfly the ballad came second, and actually Fly Away, which is the Butterfly reprise, that actually came first. When I first learned that, that blew my mind, and I forgot about it. And in the past, I don't know, 6 months, it's come up somewhere in an article or an interview. I can't remember where. And that's that's really interesting to me that she was going down like a house record route for Butterfly.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a house record, and then she worked on it with the Walter A, and they turned into a ballad. And I think she even said it was one of her best ballads she's ever written.
Oh God, absolutely, absolutely, love it so much. We're going to take another quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to flash forward to present day. I want to pick your brain, Omer, about what is currently going on with Mariah, what might be happening next, what we hope for, what we wish for. So we'll be back after this break. Thanks for listening to Hey Lamb, guys. I hope you are enjoying it. If you are, you can leave me a little tip. You can buy me a drink over on buymeacoffee.com. It is a great way to show your support to your favorite creators by buying them a drink. Simply head over to buymeacoffee.com/heylamb and you can tip me with a little drink. Cheers. And we are back. So, flashing forward now to present day, Omer, we've got so many different things that are kind of on the boil. I mean, at any time now, things could drop because I feel like she's cooking several different things in the kitchen. What is your current understanding of Mariah's situation in terms of projects that are happening or about to happen? Or what are you most interested in? What are you looking for next?
Well, I was really looking forward to her releasing Glitter on vinyl for the 20th anniversary, but I don't think that is going to happen, even though she owns the soundtrack.
So
She even said,
disclaimer here. Omer is about to break some hearts and shatter some dreams because you've been telling me in the background to maybe manage my expectations, and I am trying to. But yeah, it's your personal opinion that we're not going to get Glitter on vinyl. And talk us
yes,
through this moment. Talk us through it.
yes. I just speaking to some influential people. It's my understanding that she's not releasing it on vinyl unless there's going to be a last minute change of heart. But she's not releasing on vinyl. It just takes too much work, and it's not worth. It doesn't pay back all the hard work that is involved. So it's probably not going to happen, which is a shame. Same goes for number ones. A lot of people are like, "How come number ones is not on vinyl?" Well, they feel that number one to infinity is enough to satisfy the people who want a number one vinyl record, which is now back on print, by the way. So they're not going to release that either.
It is disappointing because, like many other lambs, I need glitter and I need number ones to finish the set. So it's only going to drive these prices up, even more.
They already are crazy prices.
Yeah, yeah, they already are. Definitely.
Yeah.
So it's not something I'm going to immediately rush. But they're really rare as well. So if you see one, you get really excited. And I haven't seen many, but I also try not to look because if I see one, I'm going to be tempted. But I know the price tag is going to be nuts. So I don't even want to see it. So I'm pretending it doesn't, it's not there. So I don't actually hunt them down and look for them. But I get it. I don't know, but I assume that the process and the cost is it's not easy, and I imagine to get the albums repressed, it's not just been like should we do it, yeah, go on, and they just whack them out. When imagine it, the work started at least a year in advance, and it's not a simple thing, and everyone is making vinyl, everyone's pressing albums to vinyl, so you got to like get in a jump in line and wait your turn. So I guess at this point maybe it's already decision made because it would have had to have, if it's going to be on sale this summer, I guess the decision would have had to have been made well before now to get the ball rolling.
Right, right, right. I mean, listen, there could be a change of heart, but let's just say that I wouldn't hold my breath.
Okay, you're managing my expectations. I'm not too disappointed because you're breaking my heart slowly. What other projects are you hoping that will come to fruition? We have got new music on the way in different capacities. I mean, she spoke about Chick. We've got this Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis album moment. We've got M16 possibly. She said about re-recording, owning masters. We've got Christmas again. Like, there's so many different balls in the air. Which ones are you looking forward to?
First of all, I am hoping for MC16. That'll be nice to get a new album. I do hope that the Lambs will get the Chick album with her vocals on it. That'll be interesting to hear.
Do you think it will
Uh,
come?
yeah, she said she wants to release it for the fans. So I think she will at some point, probably just on a digital platform, but it's fine. So I think that'll be a nice treat for the fans.
What about the adaptation of the memoir? Because this is a conversation that she's having. It's a project she's working on. What are your thoughts and feelings about this?
I would love to see a movie adaptation to the memoir. I think that'll be great. And I think people will be interested to know what Mariah is really about and all the struggles that she's been through. In America, people are just so easy to trash her here and be, critical about her. But I think if people saw the movie and see what she's really been, what she's really gone through with her childhood, her family, her abusive marriage, I think that people will be more forgiving towards her.
More understanding, I think, yeah, because, to get the meaning of Mariah, like why she is the way that she is and how she became to be the person that she is. Do you think a movie or a TV series is the way to go?
It doesn't matter. They're both good. They can do a biopic and put it on TV, or can take it to the big screen. You never know. I think that it would make an impact on the big screen if it was to really be released there.
Yeah, I think if it was handled well and done right, a Mariah movie could be a great moment. I just worry about how much can actually fit in because there's a lot, you know. It's like you got to pick what is the story. You can't present the entire memoir as a movie. You've got to choose the story like within. You've got to choose the narrative. But with this TV series, that potentially excites me more because I feel like we could meet Mariah. I keep saying this, but I want to put it out into the universe. We could meet Mariah at age 20 or even earlier, but it's the whole like about to be signed. That if there was a trailer for like season one and they have the whole fairy tale moment that everyone has read in magazines for years of the demo tape, you know, going to the party, there's Brenda K. Starr, the demo tape goes out, Tommy snatches it, listens to it, turn the car around, turn it. That as like a trailer, people are like, yes, this is the story, this is what I want to see. And there could be flashbacks to her childhood like throughout like the first season, and I personally would have the first season maybe end as like, you know, daydream, like, oh, there's trouble or something, you know, and then we move on and we get Butterfly, the breakdown, we get the breakdown of the marriage, we get Derek Jeter, you know. I would tell it the story across maybe 3 seasons, but then what I worry about is if it's not a success and it gets cancelled, you know, you don't get like the full story.
First of all, I love the idea of a series, just like Selena, just like Luis Miguel. I think that's a very good. It's even a better idea than a movie, and I think it will be picked up by one of the streaming services like Netflix or Hulu. And I don't think it will be a flop. I think people will be interested to see what her life's been from her childhood to getting to the success and everything that's been happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because people like that kind of drama. So I think, and no one. That's why her memoir was a #1 New York bestseller. Because people want to read about what was going on behind the curtains. You know, they want to see what's going on between her and Tommy Mottola. I think people want to see. After what he said in his book, they want to hear her side of the story. I think a miniseries will be a very good idea.
Yeah, I just have the first season, like the rise to fame, like the teenager. We need meet curly head Mariah, you know, the black top and the skinny jeans, and then we need a whole season based on Sing Sing, you know, and like the prison that it was, and the security, and how controlling Tommy was. That's the story that people are interested in, and like I'm sure Mariah knows and she's got people around her, but you need to know what part of it is selling. You know, what is going to get people tuning in. I think if there was a season that's heavily focused on the Tommy era, then people would be, yeah, into it.
People want to hear about the Tommy era because they want gossip. So they want drama. Unlike another thing that I am excited about, in terms if we switch subjects for a second, something that I am excited about seeing is the episode in the Luis Miguel series with Mariah, which I understand that's coming up very soon.
About to drop.
I don't know if it's about to drop with this season or the next first episode of the next season, but it's definitely coming very, very soon.
I was led to believe it's happening in this second season. Everyone's kind of talking about it. Everyone's talking about like Mariah's coming, and it's just going to happen, and then boom, we'll all be talking about it because it's going to be there. But some of his other lovers, they've not been like happy with the portrayal, you know, in when it comes to like their episode or their storyline within the series. And I don't know who, but I've heard that a couple of them have been vocal about it. Just like, well, that's okay, well, if that's how he wants to present it, whatever, it's his series. But it'd be very interesting to see how they handle Mariah.
Well, she had her side of the story in her book writing about him, so let's hear his side.
Yeah, everyone gets a say, everyone gets their turn, that's only fair. But then I really want her to have a mini series, like a TV series. I don't want it to be rushed. I want it to be taken like slowly and carefully. So whether it's a movie or a series, I want it to be done right, and I want Mariah to be happy. I don't want anything rushed. So I think if it needs to, it should just take its time.
I agree. That'll be even more exciting than MC16, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because we're not going to get that very often. Like, okay, we don't get loads of albums now because it's on average like what, like a 4-year wait now between albums, which is fine. Like, she's a different point of her career. She's a mother and everything, you know. But how many times are we going to get a TV series or a movie covering her life story. I'm like, I'll wait until it's ready. I waited all these years for the memoir. I always wanted it to happen, and we had to wait for the time to be right, and it was worth it. So I don't need an adaptation this second. I will wait happily if that's what we need to do, as long as it's done right.
Right, I agree.
Omer, we are coming up to the end of today's show. We've got just enough time to play the resident game. You know what's coming. Listeners, you know what's coming. It is time to play Spin, Pin, or Bin. So quick reminder for you, Omer, and everyone listening and watching, these are the rules. I have got my phone here with me. I've got Mariah songs all plugged into a random generator, not the Christmas catalogue. I'm putting that aside, saving that for when we get to the end of the year. So we've got loads of songs in here. I'm going to pick 3 at random, and we've got to allocate 1 to spin, 1 to pin, 1 to bin. Spin is love it, keep it, play it forever. Bin, or trash for Americans, is have to throw it out. You never get to play it again. And then the middle option is pin. Put a pin in it. Maybe not today, maybe another day. Okay? Here come the songs. Song number 1. Heartbreaker. Lead single from the Rainbow album. That's the regular version. Heartbreaker, regular version. Song number 2. Oh, okay. Also Rainbow era. Thank God I Found You. Make It Last remix. So it's not the album version of Thank God I Found You. It's got the Make It Last remix. Oh, okay. Third song. Secret Love. Bonus track from Emancipation era. Okay, so those are the options, kids. I want you to play along and let us know in the comments on YouTube, or if you're on Instagram, let us know at Heyland Podcast. So you've got Heartbreaker, Thank God I Found You, Make It Last remix, and Secret Love. Spin, pin, and bin. What are you going to do, Omer?
Well, I'll definitely spin Heartbreaker.
Okay.
I'll bin Secret Love, and what was it? Pin, the third one? The pin is going to be Make It Last Forever. Even though I love that remix. I love it.
Why does Heartbreaker win over for you? You just love it more?
It's the bigger track. It's just a bigger track. But I almost would have put both on the spin.
Well, you're not allowed to, darling. I'm not going to spin Heartbreaker. I freaking love Heartbreaker, the remix and the original, and it was such an iconic moment. Like pop culture, the jeans, the video. It was such an expensive music video. It got so much play and rotation. It was so big for her career. But I always treat this as, what do I personally just want to listen to here and now, sat here in this chair on this day. So I'm going to spin Thank God I Found You, Make It Last. I just love that. It's so smooth, so sexy. I will pin Heartbreaker, and I'm going to join you in binning Secret Love. Now, I actually really enjoy Secret Love, and a lot of people roll their eyes at me when I say that, but I kind of prefer Secret Love to Your Girl. There are songs on Emancipation, I'm like, Secret Love, Sprung, and Your Girl. I put them all like the same shelf in my mind, and for me, Your Girl is probably my least favorite of the 3 of them. I know a lot of people don't like Sprung or Secret Love, but I do. Anyway, that was this week's edition of Spin, Pin, or Bin. Omer, thank you so much for joining me on the Hey Lamb podcast. Let everybody know where they can follow you and find you online.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And they can find me on Instagram on OMMC22. Once again, it's OMMC22 on Instagram.
Perfect. So we are actually going to carry on chatting on the after show, guys, Extra Chop. So members of my YouTube channel, you can get a little bit more of me and Omer talking on there. But otherwise, go and give Omer a follow on Instagram. Make sure you're following Heyland Podcast on Instagram. And I'll see you in the next episode, everyone. And Omer, I'll see you on WhatsApp on Instagram.
Will do.
Talk soon.